week in racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael New Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of the shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last thoughts, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is The Magic Mike Show, episode 248. Mr. Salmich, you're looking pretty good. You got a nice glow, a good tan that you got at the beach yesterday. Good to see you. Happy Tuesday.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I got the extra day off, which was kind of nice, and went to the beach to just get those wonderful 40 degree weather in and have some fun. It's crazy, man. Like, a 2.5-year-old does not care what temperature is at the beach. She was so freaking happy to run around and play in the sand and make sandcastles and to chase the birds and everything else. And her mom and I are like, two coats, gloves, hat, shivering over in the corner. And she's like, no hat, no gloves, just wants to run around and play, snot dripping down her face, just having a blast. So, yeah, it was a good weekend. It was nice to be able to get away and get a little bit of a vacation in here. But yeah, it's been good. How you doing, man?
I'm good. It's nice and 66 and 62, sunny, right back there behind me. You can see there's a nice little breeze going, which my dogs love. It's warm enough when the sun's hitting them that when the wind hits, it feels really great. They've got really thick hair. I'm actually going to give them both a haircut later today, so they don't know that that's coming yet. But I got that to look forward to. We missed you yesterday. We had President's Day. We did a special rocket hour where we covered Santa Anita. I was all excited to be back, and then that kind of blew up in my face because I was trying to beat a couple of who I thought were bad Bob Baffert horses. Still not convinced they're not bad Bob Baffert horses. I just picked two worse ones to try and beat them with, so that didn't work out too well. But overall, a really fun weekend at Santa Anita. We got to see some great racing at Fairgrounds. Luckily, the weather held off. We only lost one turf race, and it was early in the card. And then Gulfstream, the pick four. One of us on this show did really well at Gulfstream on Saturday, so I'm excited to talk about that one too.
Yeah, Gulfstream on Saturday was fun, man. It was actually, it was rough. It was one of the worst beats I've taken in a while in the early pick five, where we got a $12 horse home in the first leg, a $10 horse in the second leg. We were too deep in the third leg and got a $22 horse home. We're too deep in the fourth leg and lose just a brutal photo by like yay much for a $26 horse to come through there. And then we'd like win for fun. It's my horse versus my horse coming down the stretch in the fifth. Probably would have paid around $15,000 for the pick five. And so it was because it paid a little short of, or a little over $7,000 with a 9-2 shot winning that fourth leg. And mine was 12-1. And man, yeah, the photo hurt there. It stung like that. There's a couple that like stand out in my mind. Imprimis getting taken down on Travers Day when the Bombs had that for $15. That one stung. And then, yeah, I'm not going to lie, that it stung. It was at least we hit the late pick five. At least we hit the late pick five to make up for it, and we hit the pick four from the show. So that good way to end the day. But man, that early pick five was it stung. It hurt. I'm not gonna lie, it hurt.
We got a bunch of you watching us live on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. Thank you so much for joining us. If you can, even if you're watching a replay, give us a like, a thumbs up. It'll help get our video into more people's hands. And yeah, Pedlo 2001 says I almost punched a window. I'm glad you didn't, because then you wouldn't have had the funds to pay for the medical bills because you just punched a damn window. Yeah, brutal beats there on that one. I'm sorry about that, but listen, you got it. You made up for it later. You didn't have the massive, $30,000 payout at the end there to close the card, but you had a good day and a good weekend overall with the Bombs.
Yeah, we had pick five on Friday, pick five on Saturday. We went 10 for 12 on Saturday. The two misses were the 30-1 that I thought was really tough to get to in the maiden special weight to kick off the pick six, and then that brutal photo. So, it was fun. And then Monday, and the best thing I saw is Monday Santa Anita racing. I tweeted about this. I talked about it on the show last time. We had Aqueduct last Monday. I love Monday racing. We need to have one track running on Mondays, because you get that one track that gets a bunch of the focus and attention. And, this one was a holiday card, and the California circuit does a wonderful job of always having these holiday cards. So you have something to bet on these days where you have the day off from work. But man, every Monday I need a track, because you have just over the weekend, all these tracks running, and you just got the buzz, right? And then you get there on Monday and you're like, what's up? I got nothing. It's just you you want to wean yourself off versus just get cut off. You know what I mean? And to just have the one track to bet on would have been nice. But yeah, I was happy we got Santa Anita on Monday. I was happy with Aqueduct last weekend. Hopefully we can get more of these Monday days and get more and more action so that we can have a fun Monday, a Monday fun day, if you will.
It was a lot of fun. The one thing that sucks is that not being able to be at the track as fans right now is that on those Mondays, which is only a couple of them that Santa Anita has, it used to be $1 beer, $1 hot dog day. You came, I don't know if was it President's Day a couple of years ago? You were out here for that?
It was one of them. I can't remember which. It's part of the feed or the video at the start of the show where we're both looking over our shoulders watching the races. That was the Monday fun day there. So it's a great time, man. It's fun. And those $1 beers are great at Santa Anita. Trouble, but great.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. The best thing that I saw, I'm having trouble pulling it up, but so I'll try to describe it real quick, which just makes for great radio. Fangraphs, you know who Fangraphs is? They study sports, they do analytics, all that stuff. Fangraphs this morning posted an analyzed breakdown of the postseason odds for all baseball teams. Did you see this morning?
No, I didn't see it.
Okay, so fans of any sport, they're going to be pretty upset if they feel slighted. Like, Jared, if he saw that the Chiefs were like 22% chance to win the Super Bowl this year after winning it last year, he'd be probably upset, understandably. So they pissed off a lot of people because the postseason odds, for example, you had the New York Yankees, 91.6%. Okay, that's not a shocker. The Detroit Tigers, 2%. Not a shock. Actually, that's a little high, I think, but but then you have, they gave you a percentage. It could be as low as 0.8% for the Texas Rangers. And they did it for all three divisions in baseball. There's one team that they gave a flat 0% chance of making the postseason. Do you want to guess who it was? It's a pretty logical one. It's not a trick question.
The Angels.
Angels, no. Angels are actually, where are they? Angels are 37.8%. Who's taking action against that? Because I want to say no to that one.
Yeah, I'm going to go Miami Marlins.
You're close, 0.7%. It's the Baltimore Orioles are
zero. Yeah, okay. Especially that division. Yeah, that's logical.
Yeah, when the Yankees are 91.6%, sure.
Yeah, I'm sure Tampa Bay is really high too, and so yeah, that's logical.
So they pissed off a lot of people because they thought that their teams got slighted. By the way, the Colorado Rockies are second to last at 0.1%. So after getting a lot of shit from fans on Twitter, they retweeted or sent out a new tweet, and they said, okay, we got everybody's feedback. We're so sorry. We did the math again. We crunched the numbers again. Here are the updated odds. And they put every team at 100%, except the Orioles are still 0%. That got me. I don't know why that got me so good when I saw it today, but I was like, okay, they understand that they effed up, and this is how they responded. Yeah, all right, that's good. That's the best way you could have done that.
I honestly, I find it so funny that people get fired up about that. It's like the ultimate who cares to me. Like, okay, that's great. You found this one simulation model, ran a certain sim, and it spit out these results. And you're fired up because, we're 0 games into the season and your team's out of the playoffs. Like, come on. Like, it's just, I would almost rather be the underdog than be like the Yankees at 91%, because you know what? It's like when your 2-5 favorite that's a single loses, you're really pissed because the horse was 2-5. When you have an 8-1 single and it runs okay, you're not like, damn, like you don't get like it sucks to lose, but you're not nearly as upset as when you're the 2-5 loses. You want to have the underdog so you can kind of get it up there. It's funny, like Jared mentioned this playing in tournaments. It's more fun to root for the 10-1 shots than it is to root for the 2-5 shots. So I don't mind the odds, and it honestly, like, it means absolutely nothing too. Oh, sure. Like absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's the same as if you're doing a Kentucky Derby future wager in the first pool and you're like, oh man, I can't believe that this horse is 20-1 or 30. Guys, give it a freaking break. You got several months to go here. Things are going to change. But
it's like if you're in a fantasy horse racing league and some like dictator asshole is setting up odds for each of the teams every time. Who cares what your odds are, right?
By the way, we're last of 10 to win the fantasy league. So spoiler alert for the fantasy league post coming up tomorrow. Team Magic Mike not doing so hot.
According to one person, though, it's just one person's opinion, and he didn't even really run simulations. He's just pulling numbers out of his tail end, so I'm not worried about it.
That's true. He still has Saratoga Slim on top, and Saratoga Slim has never had a first-round pick that ran worth a damns, and this one that he's got now, Speaker's Corner, still hasn't run yet in 2021. So we'll see what happens. Listen, we got a big show to talk about. We got the Risen Star to go over. We're also going to, first thing to do is cover the Gulfstream Park Pick 4 from last Saturday, so we can sit here and discuss what we got right and what some of us got wrong really bad. We're going to do a little bit more Derby contender talk after that, and then there's one race where a 2-5 favorite got beat that I was very proud of. So we're going to talk about that. Just little lessons we can take moving forward for handicapping, but it's going to be a fun one. Let's get into it, Mike. Riders up. All right, let me get my screen shared. Shit. There, sorry. Come on. Computer's being a bitch today. It's being real slow. It doesn't like that this is the second show that it doesn't like it when I do 2 shows in a day.
Overworking it, man.
This thing's I got this when I started college, 2006. This is a 15-year. Wait, no, that's not right. I've been through a couple since then. I think this one's about 8 years old, 7, 8 years old.
Nice.
For a laptop, that's pretty good.
That's good, strong. Mine don't last 2 years.
All right, 3, 2. All right, Mike, first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at our Gulfstream Park late pick 4 tickets from this past Saturday, February 13th. And starting things off, race 9. Mike, I said on the show that I was playing against the 12 Omnia because horses that had started from way out there in the far post, which there were 2 horses inside of him that scratched, so he broke from post 10. 2 of the past 45 races at 8 furlongs on the turf at Gulfstream Park did a horse from post 10 win. So I was like, well, listen, 2 times you've been right, 2 times you've been wrong, 43 times you've been right playing against. Make it 3 for 46. And you were right, Mr. Samich. Omnia, boy, this horse was great. And listen, I'm going to give you all the credit because you said Luis Saez is going to have to go. He's going to gun it, and he gunned it, and then nobody else gunned it, and there he went. So the floor is yours. Talk about Omnia.
Yeah, you get loose going 48 in the first half on Gulfstream Park's turf right now. Good luck catching that horse. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, Omnia was 2 lengths ahead of everybody else pretty much the entire race. But at the half-mile point, 2 lengths up on the field, running a 48 first half, comes in at 111 and 2. So actually picks up the pace there and comes home in 135. So 12s or sub-12s all the way home from the half-mile point with a 2-length lead, you're not catching that horse. It's over. Good night. And that's exactly what happened here, especially at the 16,000 hour level. Like, it was just too much of a lead for that horse to be able to get open and get in front and be able to run away from him. Now, I'm glad you brought up the stat because I think we do need to talk about this. I love stats. Huge fan of stats. But one problem is that you have outliers in those stats. And yes, 2 for 45. That is not great. But if I asked you to tell me what the running styles of those 2 horses were, could you?
Oh, absolutely not.
And that is the problem inside of that stat, is that this was a unique situation where you were, I would say, like a 95% chance, because maybe the horse misses the break. This was the leader in the race, in a race that didn't have a ton of pace. And so while the stat is totally relevant from a tempo's perspective, you essentially have to then look at, okay, when had they won from the 10 hole? And that's pretty tough to do. I have no idea how to do that personally. But also, like, all of those are good guidelines, but they shouldn't be rock solid reasons to leave a horse on or take him off a ticket. And in this case, speed kills, right? Mm-hmm. I don't care as much about the post if they're a dead closer or if they have a ton of speed, because in both instances, getting over to the rail is not that hard from the 10 post, even in a short run up, because you're either going to be way back anyway, or you're going to be in the front. So for me, in this case, the 10 post was not as relevant, and thus your stat wasn't as important as it could be in other situations. Now, if this horse wants to stalk and sit 4th, yeah, 10 hole is a huge issue. But the fact that we were able to get out and get an easy lead definitely made it nice for the 10 or 12, who just cleared the field and never looked like a loser for one step in this race.
I will say, so I did hang my hat on that stat, but I did, when we were talking about it, I don't know, I'm trying to save my own ass because I was an idiot for not playing this horse. Because I'll be honest, if this horse had drawn post 8, Mike, he would have been on my ticket, and I think that's a big key that I should have just been like, maybe don't be so excited about the horse being that far out, but I think you said you don't love the post, but you still had to use the horse. If you look at his race 2 back when he was at Tampa going a mile, he also broke from the 10 post, which has a similar short run into the first turn, and then set the pace, was gunned to the lead, and then faded late. And I said, I think that's going to happen again. The problem with that, Mike, that was first level allowance horses. It's first level at Tampa, but this was 16K claimers at Gulfstream. Yeah. There's still a big drop off there. So, that's my fault. You and Aaron both, Aaron, if you listen to the Blinkers Off that was live this morning, it's in podcast form. You can listen to it right now. Aaron was the same way. He's like, listen, there's the problem with Magic and his stupid stats is that it's too broad. You got to narrow it down. Another one that I had was on Monday. I was trying to beat 2 Bob Baffert horses in the maiden special weight that I thought they were both trash. I still think I'm right about that part, but I just the horses that I tried using were worse. Where he was 0 for 28 stretching out, or with second start maiden males routing. He was 0 for his last 28, for like 3.5 years. And I was like, well, that's really bad for him. You wouldn't think that. You usually, you said that Baffert doesn't usually have him ready to go second start like that. His percentage, actually, it's 15% with an 82% ROI. I remember those numbers.
Yeah.
He was terrible. It didn't work out for me that time. I still think that was an okay decision to go with to try and beat them at their short price. This was stupid. I also like Kent Sweezy as a trainer, the class drop. Lesson learned, I hope, moving forward.
Yeah, especially when you had a no-brainer single that you thought was usable, especially after the scratches. I mean, it just you had an easy spot to single. Leaving a horse like this off a ticket and costing you a pick 4 it's a rough one.
Let's move on to the second race. This is another one that Magic got wrong and Mike got right. We're looking at optional claiming. This is basically like a minor stakes race here. High level all along with optional claimers. Boy, we talked about it on the show. Jack Sisterson, if you were going to play one trainer just flat across the board because he's really talented and really hot right now, it's Jack Sisterson. Gets the job done with Flying Scotsman. What surprised me is that he went gate to wire, because I remember this horse when he was a juvenile in California. Gate to wire wasn't exactly his style all the time. I will say I took a very hard stance against Structor. He ends up being your 7-5 favorite, and he deads heat for fourth with Lamartine. So I'm happy about that one. I just don't like that I used a bunch of horses in a 6-horse field and I somehow didn't have the winner.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I didn't have this horse on the original ticket before the scratches in the next race, which we'll get to in a second here. But if you go back and listen to the podcast, I talked more about this horse than I did almost any other horse in this race, because I kind of talked myself into Flying Scotsman as we kind of went through the sequence here. And once the scratches came out, this was one that I thought was a pretty easy ad for me in this race. Look, Sisterson in this spot here, it made a ton of sense that this horse was going to take a step forward. We talk a lot about these type of angles, but it was second off a layoff. Horse, like you said, this is a minor stakes race, but was coming out of a grade 3 against Ride a Comet and Casa Creed last time out. The back buyer where you saw a 90 buyer, then the horse takes 6 months off and then comes back here second off. And an English Channel getting older is a nice angle as well. Generally, English Channels get better in their 5- and 6-year-old seasons. So there was a lot of reasons to like this horse, and this was the key to the pick 4 really, and the pick 5. I mean, without a 15-1 shot here, we weren't getting the return that we got. So it was nice to get a price here in this leg. I did use Structor, and I don't think Structor ran great here, but this was one of those where I just didn't want Structor to beat me. But the 6 and the 7 were the two that I ended up keying on, and I'm happy that we got Flying Scotsman home at a nice price, man. And again, this never looked like a loser again. Like turning for home, it didn't look like anyone was catching Flying Scotsman, and obviously no one did. Yeah,
no, great job. And again, great training job by Jack Sisterson. Jack Sisterson's one of the good guys in this sport. So anytime we can sit here and give them a little pat on the back, we try to do that. Structor, moving forward, do you want to possibly try him again at this level? Do you think Chad Brown moves him up to a stakes? Should you just retire him and say we probably should have stopped after he was 2?
It's going to be interesting to see where he goes. This was, first off, a heck of a long layoff for Structor. I mean, first off, this horse has not run since November 1st, 2019. So there's a built-in excuse after built-in excuse here, right? I'm really interested to see where he shows up. If he shows up back in his stakes, I'm almost 100% going to bet back Structor, because that means Chad Brown knew he needed this race, got it into him, and is taking a step forward. If you take a step forward off this effort, this horse is ready to fire next time out. So if you see Structor in a stakes race, a grade 2 or a grade 1, watch out. That horse is going to be live, and you're going to get it at a price. So I am interested to see where Structor goes. I'm almost less interested in Structor if we see him back at this level again. I want to see Chad Brown show the confidence in the horse, and that will make me more confident in Structor moving forward. I think Flying Scotsman's a really interesting horse now, by the way. He gets a 102 buyer here. I mean, just a monster number. I think you're gonna hear from Flying Scotsman some of the graded stakes up in Saratoga this summer. So I'm excited to see where Flying Scotsman goes as well. But yeah, I'm not done with Structor. I think it'll be interesting to see where he shows up next, though.
Boy, that's an 11-point improvement on his career best, which he got for winning the Grade 3 Sotheby DeMille at Del Mar when he was 2 years old. So, wow, 102. I didn't see that number. Penalty was a horse that I was very excited about using here. Was a second choice for me behind the 4 Grand Journey, who gets third. Penalty clipped heels going into the first, and I don't remember off the top of my head, Mike, who he clipped heels with. But from that point, when you almost lose your jockey going into the first turn, you kind of have to scratch this off. Are you interested in him at a similar level moving forward?
It depends who's in the race. I mean, that's really the key. Like, he's one of those horses where it took him a while to get through the the N1X condition, and then we got into the N2X and was able to win at a big price there. This is one of those classic, I don't like this horse at a short price at the levels that he's being put in. Because This is, to me, a really high-level claimer, right? Like $50,000-$60,000 claimers is where this horse belongs versus this third-level allowance where you're running into stakes horses in every single spot, and it's just tough, man. Like, if you look at who this horse is run against with Ivor and Holiday and Croy and, like...
Largent,
Front Run the Fed. Like, and these are all in allowances. This isn't stakes races. So he's facing stakes horses in high-end allowance races. And to me, that's just... It's a really tall task for him. I'm not sure I want him at 7-2. I'm not sure I want him at 5-2 like he was here. I'm interested in him at 20-1 in those spots, but I don't think we're going to get that because of the wins that he does have in the back class that he has. And people see these names he's been running against and give him almost a little too much credit. So a penalty is one of those where it's just, look, I loved playing it at 30-1. It was awesome to have it that day, but man, it's tough to take this horse at 5-2 against fields that are basically stakes quality fields when I just don't think he's a stakes quality horse.
That's a great point. Also, this is the third straight start where he's had problems at the start. And I usually try to avoid accident-prone horses handicapping. So I think Mike brings up a great point. Wait till you can see like a Flying Scotsman price. You get $15.80 to the dollar on him at this level or maybe a little lower. That's the place to go. Let's move on to the race 11, the Grade 3 Gulfstream Park Sprint Stakes. This is, Mike, if I was as right about this race when we previewed it as I was about anything else, I think I'd be a freaking billionaire, or this would be the easiest game in the world because I said the inside three horses are all going to scratch and run at Tampa, and Mischievous Alex is my single. Well, the inside three horses all scratched, and Mischievous Alex was my single. He's off to the Carter handicap after this one, I think. I mean, the Vacoma pattern continues with this horse, and he's got Saffie Joseph behind him and Irad Ortiz Jr. on top. Sky's the limit, right?
He looked awfully good. I mean, actually had a regression from a Bauer perspective from 103 down to a 99, but I don't think he really ever got asked here. I mean, this was kind of a walk in the park for Mischievous Alex. I doubled my ticket cost for no reason, included Wind of Change here, just because I wanted to see if the other three burned each other out. I thought Wind of Change might be the one closing. Ends up running a 34 Bauer, so that wasn't so right. But we were able to get through this leg, and I was pretty confident in the last leg, so that worked out well anyway. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm not sure what to take from this. Like, first off, a lot of scared horses. Like, people just did not want to face Mischievous Alex, which tells you how talented the horse is. And he didn't beat much. So, we'll see what happens where he goes next. But I don't think you can knock this horse at all. And it could be a very, very good sprinter.
Frosted Grace is owned by a good friend of mine, Bill Branch, also owns Katie Lee, one of our favorite horses on the Magic Mike show. And I texted him before the race, and I said, before we did our show, I said, hey, you got he looks pretty good. And just half jokingly, I was like, you're going to pick up a nice $20,000 paycheck running second to Mischievous Alex. And he had a lot of words to say about Mischievous Alex's trainer, none that I can probably repeat on our live show. But I was very happy to see Frosted Grace get second. That's kind of what this horse likes to do. He always shows up in these races at Gulfstream Park. He sprints, he tries hard. He's like Caratari. He just can't get that win. But I was able to hit the nice exacta with when you got a 2-5 that wins, and the exacta pays 440 in a 4-horse field. I thought I did pretty good with that one.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. I mean, look, there's worse horses to own. Ran 10 times in 2020, hit the board 9 of those 10, grossed almost $87,000. It's not such a bad horse to own.
So my friend, he said it's frustrating because you just want to see him win one of these times, but at the same time, that's what's keeping the lights on in the barn. Like, that horse cashes a nice paycheck every time. And God, if you're an owner, you love horses like that. Well,
it's a sound horse too. I mean, 17 runs in 2 years. I mean, the horse just keeps going out and keeps running well, and you don't really have any dud efforts. You look at it like the low buyer is a 77 at Saratoga, but it ran third there, and that was as a 3-year-old. So it's like, I'm not really going to knock the horse too much for that. So it's just a hard knocking horse that likes to pick up paychecks.
The last race we're going to talk about, race 12, that closed things out. Mike said he was feeling pretty confident going into this one. Listen, if I was alive with my ticket, I would feel very confident because I hit the damn all button. And guess what happens? Every time I hit the all button, the even money favorite wins. But this was my top pick. This is a horse, Mike, in Floriform, who you and I both picked to win his last race. So it was nice to see him validate that effort. Here gets the win very handily under Edgard Zayas. Talk to me about Floriform.
I mean, it really fit well. Like, honestly, this horse just fit perfectly into this race. I mean, I mentioned it on the show where I jokingly said I would be completely confident with 2 horses here, the 2 and the 3. And honestly, going into it, I felt pretty good about these 2 horses coming home because, look, the 3 horse, when you look at the track record, that first race on turf absolutely jumps off the page. We talked about win from within, so faced very good competition that day and ran really well. Was actually trying to reel in win from within later in that race. Was second, a length back. got to a half of length back and just kind of was held off by a very good horse. So, running the 83 Bauer, now you're getting second off a layoff. You're getting second time on the turf, a bunch of reasons why the horse can step forward. And the horse actually, from a Buyer's perspective, regresses pretty aggressively down to a 71 Bauer, but was more than enough to get the job done. I don't think was really asked in the stretch because this horse was a clear winner on the turn. Other horse I played here was the 2-horse What Say Thee, and the horse ran well. And I mentioned on the show I'd be confident in the horse, more confident the horse got bet down to 5-1, and that is exactly what happened.
Yes, he was.
The horse got bet down from 10-1 to 5-1 and ran pretty well for Sisterson. This is one that I'm stabling up and I'm probably going to use next time out. So we talked about See the Stars and how it stands for 177,000, which is quite rare. Sisterson's only 8% first-time starter. So I'm interested to see what happens when this horse comes back for a second race. I think you could have a pretty good future for What Say Thee. So I'd keep an eye on that horse.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought him up because I was just going to go to that next one. So, look, you got Jack Sisterson here. The horse will be in his second start. Sisterson will have gotten a little bit of dirt and turf kicked in the horse's face by this point. Especially the fact he's bet down to 5-1 for his debut. For a barn that isn't that sharp with debut runners, I think tells you a lot. The other horse, because the 2-horse was my third choice. The 7, Performing Arts, was the horse I was really interested in. He had a pretty good third behind Lucky Law and Alexander Valley in his debut. He's a half to Oscar Performance, Oscar nominated, grade 1, grade 3 winning horses on the turf. I think that this horse, even though he didn't do a great job here, but kind of ran in place and then faded late, I still have faith in this horse based off of his breeding, but also based on his breeding, he might need later in this year. We get to Saratoga, maybe Belmont in the fall. I think that's when this horse is really going to pop. They just tend to progress as they get older in that family.
Yeah, I thought the horse ran okay, not great, but it is really bred well. So I think it will be interesting to see what happens as this horse kind of gets older and a little bit more experience. The 12 Bracken ends up running second here and almost gets 2 12s home in the same sequence for you.
Which would have been crazy. Oh, my God. Yeah, no kidding.
Got to at least mention that. But this kind of goes to show that original point where this horse tried to do it, sitting 6th and then 4th, and it kind of makes that move, but was really hung wide in that first turn and not able to get all the way over to the rail. And that's the difference in what happened there with the different pace and the setups for the different horses. So kind of further illustrates the point where depending on how the horse runs, the post matters or doesn't matter quite as much. So all in all, pretty fun sequence. Nice to get home the pick 4 here. Ends up paying $382 for 50 cents. There's a $40 ticket, so we'll take that almost 10-1 return any day of the week. And honestly, if you just singled the 5, it would have been a $20 ticket to return $384. So definitely nice to get this one home and get on the board. Now I don't have to hit one for 10 weeks, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That keeps the lights on for a lot of these other shows that we're going to keep doing. Let's move on to talk about the Kentucky Derby race that we had over the weekend. It's going to be the Grade 2 Risen Star Stakes. We had 2 horses in this race, Mike. We were excited about one, and we were hopeful for the other. Moving forward, I'm excited about one, and fingers crossed for the other one. We'll get to that in a second. Yeah. Mandaloon, your 2-1 favorite. Post-draw, no issue here from Post 11 with Florent Giroux. Adding the blinkers, second time routing, or it's just Brad Cox, or it's a mix of all 3. I don't know what it was, but this horse was just a monster. I take that back. I think it was mostly the blinkers, but what about you? Mandaloon finishes 3rd in the Lecomte. That was his 3-year-old debut. It was his first time routing. It looked okay. Immediately after the race, Brad Cox says, add the blinkers. Does it. Wins here. Your thoughts?
I thought Mandaloon looked really professional here. I think the main difference between this and the Lecomte was that Midnight Bourbon didn't get an easy lead and was pressed up front. So Midnight Bourbon didn't even get the lead, to be honest, and sat right behind in second. And you could tell he was more worn down coming down the stretch. And so Mandaloon was able to really take over the race and run right on by and be able to get up to the front. Proxy obviously passes Midnight Bourbon as well. But all 3 horses, I thought, ran good races. You got 98, 97, and 96 Buyers back, which is a new career best, I believe, for all 3 of them as well. So you get to see nice steps forward from all 3 of those horses. I think this is actually one of the better races we've seen in the prep cycle yet with these 3 horses. And to be honest, I thought Obezos actually ran pretty well too. I don't think we can ignore the 4th place finisher either. This was the first time this horse has gone around 2 turns. It had been at 6.5, 5.5, and 6 furlongs prior to this. Taking a pretty big step up here. I mean, now there's a 2 lifetime allowance going all the way up to a grade, grade 2 stakes essentially. it's a pretty big jump, and never going around 2 turns a pretty big jump. And I thought this one was actually moving pretty good and just got tired toward the end. So I'll be interested to see where Obezos shows up as well. Maybe not an on-top horse if it's Louisiana Derby, but one that I would definitely include in tries and supers.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff I'd heard on Obezos was his connections know this horse has talent. It's just a matter of how far can he take his talent. I think that if he's in Louisiana Derby, I don't want to play him to win. I'm with you on that one. But if he goes, especially he gets to like a 1-turn mile at New York in the summertime, or at Gulfstream Park, or a 2-turn mile, maybe a mile and a 16th, I think this horse has got a lot of talent. I think he showed that. I think that distance, especially that long fairground stretch, I think that just kind of did him in a little bit. Speaking of that very long fairground stretch, you brought up Midnight Bourbon, won the LeCompte because he had a lone lead. And Right and Just comes in here and just effed everything up. So thank you very much, Mitch Merle, for doing that one. Really appreciate you, bud. Please don't show up at the Louisiana Derby. But we will see Midnight Bourbon, Proxy, and Mandaloun all hopefully rematch there. The top 3 from the LeCompte are the top 3 in the Risen Star. These 3 are really fun. If they can keep this rivalry going, through the Louisiana Derby, if these 3 are in the top 3 again, that's going to be pretty great. You get to the Kentucky Derby. We can just have a showdown there with some other ones. A 98 Bauer speed figure was a really good one for Mandaloun. The best we've seen from anyone this crop is Life is Good getting a 101. So he's pretty much right there with Life is Good in terms of Bauer speed figures go. The wild card in Louisiana Derby is going to be Hot Rod Charlie. This is a horse that was 2nd in the Breeders' Cup. Juvenile was 3rd in the Robert B. Lewis Stakes. I don't know, Mike. I think that these top 3 can still take him on. What do you think?
Yeah, send him out there so I can fade him. Like, I'm excited to see Hot Rod Charlie come in so we can bet against him. Like, Dennis mentioned Senor Buscador. I mean, if you want to run out Senor Buscador at $2.80 to 1, I will happily bet against that horse every single day. I mean, the horse didn't run a bad race, but this was what I think this was the ceiling for Senor Buscador, where it's running up and threatening for the super or threatening for the try. It just needs a monster pace setup to run into. That's how he was able to win a prior race. It was a Springboard Mile, I believe it was, at Remington. Yep. Without a monster pace setup, I just don't see this horse being able to get home. And he made up a good amount of ground, and really only him and Obezos closed any ground in this race. So the forward horses kind of stayed forwardly placed, but I just don't see a world where he's going to be able to beat these horses. I think you can definitely run 4th to him, but I think it's going to be awfully tough to beat him. I've never been a Hot Rod Charlie fan, so that it's not surprising I'm going to stay against that horse. Like I said, I mean, if I'm looking at like who can kind of disrupt these 3 horses, who I think are 3 pretty good horses here, I think it's someone like Obezos, or it's maybe it's someone that comes in that we haven't talked about yet. I'm not sure it's going to be one of these, anyone who ran 5th or lower here.
I agree with you. And one of the nice things about watching this live or doing this video is that we can show you the form while we're here broadcasting. And you can tell, this is something Mike taught me a long time ago, when you're looking at a race to see what was the true story. The top, these horses, aside from Right and Just, who was a pace and quit horse, you have 2nd, 3rd, 4th, all the way across. They finished 1, 2, 3. So, Obezos and Senor Buscador gaining is good. Senor Buscador, it was said in our group chat right after the race, he was good. That class test just hit him square between the eyes. And Sunland Derby is a great fit for him. Go somewhere where you can try and get some points. I think this horse and the connections deserve to go to the Kentucky Derby. They're very good people. I think we've just seen what he is. I think he's just not quite that major cut, but listen, looking at Lee got 2nd in the Kentucky Derby, and that paid really well both from purse and from a trifecta perspective. So don't completely quit on him, just maybe not so much with a win. Yeah,
I mean, he didn't beat much in the Springboard Mile either. That's the other issue that I have. Like it's a really fun race, but you didn't have a bunch of world beaters in there. So I'm not overly interested in him moving forward. And again, underneath, I do think that it looks like it could be something there. So I thought this is an interesting race. I thought this is, like I said, one of the better prep races that we've seen. Another question in here about let me pull it up right here.
For Keep Me in Mind. Yeah. I'm glad I was going to bring this up. Dennis had asked this question on Blinkers Off because Keep Me in Mind was between the Risen Star and the Southwest. And with the way the Southwest keeps getting pushed, I think they regret that decision. So Dennis wants to know your thoughts on Keep Me in Mind. Does he beat any of the top 3 from this race if he had entered it?
I'm not a Keep Me in Mind fan. So I would say no. I would take the top 3 here over Keep Me in Mind because we've seen Keep Me in Mind do it once and do it against a field that again, not great. And so, like, for me, I'd much rather take any of these 3 horses who are proven over the track now twice. So we know they've all run well at fairgrounds. And they have pace advantages where they're going to be well forwardly placed. They're going to be set up to be in a good spot to be able to win. And just, I think these are three pretty quality horses, and I'm surprised I'm saying that. I'm not usually a big fairground circuit kind of guy into the Derby. Usually I'm poo-pooing this like crazy. But I was pretty impressed with both these efforts.
Yeah, I always fall into that trap every year. I'm like, oh man, the fairgrounds horse, this is the year, and then it's not the year. I'm trying so hard to temper my expectations, and it's not working. This is the Magical Mike show, so we get to talk about every horse that's on our fantasy league, whether they're good or not. The one horse starring in my dreams was a claim. It was one that I was pushing for. I'll take the rap on this one. Dallas Stewart, 2 starts. Both wins. That's not something you usually see from a juvenile horse. And what also made me feel good about claiming him is that Jared Welch, who probably doesn't know 90% of the 3-year-olds are, he knew who Starring in My Dreams was and heard that this horse had a lot of talent. Just his question was, if he's so good, why is he with Dallas Stewart? Well, Dallas co-bred him, but Starring in My Dreams, boy, this isn't what we wanted to see. Was a 9th place flat finish, but I think that he just didn't like being on the rail, and I think he was very rank early. Brian Hernandez Jr. is a very talented rider, so the fact that Brian was going to ride him here tells me that this horse has got talent. Do you give him one more shot on the Derby trail? Maybe not the Louisiana Derby. Maybe you try something a little easier.
I mean, I don't think you give up on the horse. It's just this race is almost too bad to be believed. I mean, coming off an 81 Bauer runs a 53, it's just like, all right, like, okay, like obviously we would prefer to something better. And like you said, I mean, he was tossing his head around like crazy through the first half mile. So clearly not happy about being toward the inside on the rail, getting the dirt kicked in his face. All that wasn't good. So yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised. It'll be interesting to see if we see one more prep, just take a swing here and see if you can get someone in. It is Windstar and Stewart, so I wouldn't be surprised if they take a swing. Louisiana Derby may be a little bit too much of an ask, but yeah, maybe go somewhere like Sunland. Maybe go to one of the lower end places. And the horse has talent. This was not an accurate showing of what that horse is, so we'll see what happens coming back next time. But he's going to be referred to as Magic's donkey from now on. First A and B, which I currently calling 2 of our horses. So this is Magic's donkey on our team now.
We have donkeys A, B, and the turf one right now. That's the turf donkey. All right, Mike, I figured we'd do a little fun game. They kind of did a little bit of this on Blinkers Off earlier today, but this is our show, so we're going to put our own spin on it. This is on the screen. This is racingnews.com/Kentucky-Derby. This is Aaron's up-to-date current top 20 Kentucky Derby contenders. And, Mike, all I want to know from you is, do you like this horse? Do you not like this horse moving forward on the Derby trail, or do you need to see more? Are you kind of holding back? So you can just say yes, no, maybe, and we can fly through these. We'll start at the top. Life is good. Yes, no, or maybe?
I'm going to go buy or sell. And
That's
I'm going
better.
to do buy or sell based on where they are ranked. So, I'm going to buy Life is Good. I do think Life is Good should be number 1.
I agree with you on that one. Number 2, Essential Quality.
I'm going to sell because we haven't seen this horse.
Whoa.
And I'm starting to get worried that we haven't seen this horse. Now, I trust Brad Cox. I think he does a very good job training and doing what he does, whatever that may be. But I don't love the fact that we haven't seen this horse for a minute. And so I'm going to sell Essential Quality.
Interesting. On Blinkers Off today, Aaron asked everybody, he likes to close the show asking who's your Derby pick. This is my Derby pick, so I don't love that my partner... Well, listen, he's not on our team, so it doesn't freaking matter what we think about that. Medina Spirit for Tough Luck Bob. Buy or sell?
Just hold. I'm not really sure where this one should be. I want to see more. Didn't love the Robert B. Lewis overall, so I'm going to hold and wait. But it's tough to sell Baffert horses that win. I mean, they seem to keep winning when they win. So
he, by the way, speaking of Medina Spirit, Baffert does not know where he's going to send him. It doesn't sound like he's going to go to the San Felipe, which means he's not facing Life is Good, which is smart. He's kind of hinting that only one more prep for Medina Spirit because he's a lighter framed horse, and these races take a lot out of him. So, by the way, if he wins the Kentucky Derby, big if. But if Medina Spirit wins the Kentucky Derby, that right there tells me there's no shot in hell of winning the Preakness if he's such a light framed horse. Number 4, Caddo River.
Buy.
I agree. Number 5, Mandolin.
Buy, especially after this performance. Brad Cox, man, 3 of the top 5 here.
No kidding. By the way, Mandolin, I see Vinny's in the chat. I'll pull up again later, but Vinny last year started writing for us, Vinny Blanc from Real Dynasty Picks, started doing Kentucky Derby contenders pedigree analysis, which was really great, especially because the Derby season lasted about 3.5 years last year. So there's a lot of great content there. He just debuted his first one for this current crop. Number 1 horse that he did was Mandolin. So you can check that out at racingnews.com. Lots of great info. There's a really interesting side from the Dams family here that you got to go check out that article. Vinny did a great job. Number 6, Greatest Honor, buy or sell?
Buy. I thought the horse looked really good in the Holy Bull. So I think you gotta buy him.
I'm gonna say hold. I'm worried of every horse that I've seen so far this year. I'm worried that this one peaked a little bit too quickly because Sugar was bringing him along. I want to see what happens in the Fountain of Youth. If he takes a big step forward in the Fountain of Youth, I'll say, okay, I'll buy him. But if he looks like just he didn't make any progression, kind of the same horse, it's gonna be hard for me to buy him moving forward.
Yeah, I'm a sucker. I like Shug too. So
I do too. Yeah,
it's a heck of a lot harder for me to sell a Shug horse than a Baffert horse. We'll put it that way.
Number 7, highly motivated.
Sell. Not a huge fan of Chad Brown right now. His barn's been pretty cold, and I don't like horses that run at Aqueduct in these races. I'm selling the New York circuit as a whole right now.
Yep, as you see here on the screen, he is aiming for the Gotham Stakes, a 1-turn mile. I'm agreeing with you. I'm going to sell him as well. I think if he shows up somewhere besides Aqueduct, okay, he's probably, Chad thinks of it. He's at Aqueduct. All right, we'll see what happens. Number 8, Keep Me in Mind. I think we both said sell.
Yep.
Perfect. Number 9, Jackie's Warrior.
This one is tough. I'm going to say sell, but I might play in the Southwest, depending on the price and pace setup. But overall, for Derby wise, I would sell Jackie's Warrior.
I'm with you. That Southwest is interesting because if only 5 to 6 horses show up and one of them's Keep Me in Mind, well, he's not winning. He's probably going to get third come late. So it's a matter of, do you think Essential Quality is going to be fully cranked or not? And I don't know. Jackie's Warrior with that pace setup, that could work pretty well for him. But we'll see what happens. Number 10, Risk Taking. Speaking of Chad Brown,
Sell.
I think he's a great underneath play, like 3rd, 4th when you get to the Derby. But this is a slow, grinding style of horse. They just don't win the Kentucky Derby in the points era. Number 11, Concert Tour. Buy or sell?
Buy. I think this might be. I think this might be Baffert's second best horse.
Wow. I'm warming to him.
The fact that he's going to the Rebel. When Baffert sends horses out to Arkansas, that generally means they're very good. So the fact that he's going to the Rebel, I think, also tips Baffert's hand on what he feels about this horse.
I agree with you. This is the Nadal. I mean, I'm sure everybody's heard about it by now, but Nadal breaks the maiden in 2020, goes to the San Vicente, wins it, goes to Rebel and wins it. So the Concert Tour trying to keep that same path going here. Number 12, Roman Centurion. Buy or sell?
Sell. Not a big fan of that Robert B. Lewis. Not a big I don't see how this horse is going to be able to. If that's where we're at right now, I'm not sure where this horse goes from there.
I'm with you. I'm going to sell him too. I think he should, if he was good enough, if he was a really talented horse, I think he would have won that instead of just kind of plod around in the stretch there. Number 13, Proxy. We just talked about him.
Buy. Especially 13. I would have him higher.
I'm with you. I think that, listen, Proxy is I'm going to, you know what? I take that back. As far as win goes on the Derby Trail, I'm sticking with this one. I'm going to sell him because I think that he's still mentally immature. And I think when you get Jim Dandy, Haskell, that time of year, that's when I think Proxy is going to peak. So I'm going to sell him as far as the Derby Trail goes. Number 14, Hot Rod Charlie. You're selling. I'm selling, right?
Sell.
Perfect. I did say that I think he's got a shot as a long shot if he continues to develop. But right now, I'm going to sell. Same barn, Doug O'Neill, number 15, the great one.
I know Aaron's really high on this horse. I think this is about right. I would say hold. I think 15 is kind of the right level because if we need this horse to validate that last race, and we needed him to do it against better competition. Right. I mean, that to me is the bottom line. So I'm gonna hold right now, leaning to the sell.
I'm holding. I'm leaning towards the buy because I'm like Aaron. I'm very intrigued by what could happen here in the San Felipe. And if Tough Luck Bob's gonna lose, I'd like to see the great one do it. Win one for Gretzky. Number 16, Candyman Rocket. Buy or sell? Buy.
I like the pace style. I think that the Sam F. Davis was impressive first time going 2 turns. First time against winners, I believe it was maiden special right up there. And I like that we have tactical speed. This is one of those horses that it's going to be close. And he can, if he's good enough, he can pick up the pieces. And that may be good enough to win the Derby.
I'm going to sell. He's got his dam side, it's very heavily sprinting. And usually if the sire is a little sprinty, but you got a route on the dam, you get a horse like Charlatan or Authentic. When it's sire is really strong with routing and the dam side is really strong with sprinting, it doesn't usually tend to work well at a mile and a quarter. So I'm going to sell him, but he is an intriguing prospect. Number 17, Midnight Bourbon, our boy.
I'm going to buy at 17. I mean, I don't think this horse is going to win the Derby. But if this horse is the 17th horse in odds on the board, I'm probably using it on Derby Day, right?
Yeah, I'm going to buy him because I think he's got the biggest reason I think he lost the Risen Star. You talked about it. Is he got pace pressure. He had a horse that didn't belong going 2 turns, pushing him and then fading, and that it weakened him up. So if he goes to Louisiana Derby and he doesn't have a pace set up like that where he can get a lone lead, I think he wins that one. And I think if you get to the Kentucky Derby and you similar setup, this horse is really dangerous in this spot. So I'm going to buy him. Number 18, Prevalence. 1 start, broke the maiden at Gulfstream, straight into the Fountain of Youth, buy or sell.
That's a hold for me. I think this is about right because we just don't know enough. That race has actually come back pretty good that he won, which is interesting, which is a positive, obviously, for Prevalence. But I want to see one more. I want to see that Fountain of Youth before I think we really know where he fits. And so I'll say hold right now.
I'm going to hold as well. I actually was going to say sell, and then earlier today on Blinkers Off, Jared Welch dropped the bomb that Brendan Walsh thinks this horse is better than Maxfield, and Maxfield is a freaking monster. So if Brendan Walsh is saying that it's a tough ask to get him into the Fountain of Youth in the Kentucky Derby, but we're holding, but boy, this horse has got a lot of potential. Number 19, Ron Bauer, the winner of the El Camino Real Derby, which got him 10 Kentucky Derby points. Mike, we didn't talk about this race because I don't think we like this horse that much.
Yeah, I would sell at 19, to be honest. Like, look, I'm not a big fan of Golden Gate preps. Like, that to me is just not where you want to be. It tells you that the horse probably likes a little more turf. Fun race, not knocking the race. And like Golden Gate, like the track, enjoy it. I love me some Golden Gate.
Yes,
One
you do.
of my favorite tracks to play at NHC, not going to lie. But yeah, I mean, look, if McCarthy thought this horse was a world beater, he'd be at Santa Anita.
Well, he scratched out Robert B. Lewis to go there, thinking it might be a little easier spot for him. Also, he's by Twirling Candy, so synthetic makes perfect sense. Yeah. I'm going to sell him if he returns on dirt, but if he shows up in the Jeff Ruby Stakes on synthetic, which is worth 100 Kentucky Derby points for some god-awful reason, I'm going to buy him because he's shown that he can do on synthetic. Now, you can't break from the gate as slow as he did at Golden Gate and hope that you're going to be able to close like he did at Golden Gate against a bunch of slow horses. So that's one to watch out for as well. Number 20, the last one. Hey, one more from Tough Luck Bob. Freedom Fighter, second to San Vicente. Going to the Gotham, buy, sell, or hold.
See, this is tough because I'm going to sell, but this horse may very well win the Gotham. But again, to me, that's like Bob is tipping his hand on what he thinks of this horse by sending it to Aqueduct. You know, like he's not sending it to when he sends a horse to Sunland, when he sends it to Aqueduct, it tells you this is the kind of the C team, right? So to me, I mean, I'm gonna say sell, but this horse will most likely be in the Derby gate because of where he's going, and we'll probably get bet there. But for me, this isn't the Baffert I want.
Yeah, Bob Baffert talked about this on Blinkers Off. Baffert has shipped to Aqueduct for the Gotham all of one time. That's like the last place he wants to send a horse. He'll go to Sunland before he goes to Aqueduct. So yeah, I think I'm with you, Mike. I think that because I've pegged Freedom Fighter as a sprinter from the start. This is a 1-turn mile. I think it's a good fit for him. I think he could have a really good shot to win there. But you're sending him to a 1-turn mile in March for a reason. It's because he can't handle 2 turns. So that was a fun segment. Thank you to everybody who's in the chat playing along. I'm glad you changed it from yes, no, maybe to buy, sell, or hold. Much more professional that way. Yeah. This is why you're the Mike in Magic Mike.
What can I say? Just doing my best here to make segments hotter.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, Feldy, buy or sell Hoosier. I'm going to sell Hoosier. I don't think that race was very good. Like,
God, yeah.
This is the Fenway race. I was against both those horses too, and I would sell both of them.
I'm kicking myself because I was trying to get a little too cute. I thought that Hoosier was the better of the two, or Hoosier, however the hell you even say his name. I don't know. I thought that he was better than Fenway. Can you imagine if we'd actually won a claim? We'd be so mad about this. I've never been happy to lose a claim in my life.
No kidding.
That was no. I'm with you too. I don't want. No, the shit. They came home in like 26 seconds for the final furlong.
Yeah, it wasn't
2
quick.
furlongs. No, that was bad. Frank Victoria, 23, a horse that you know quite well. Drain the Clock, a Slam Dunk Racing homebred, probably headed to the Fountain of Youth. Listen, we could have claimed him. We could have put in a tag for it. We talked about it, and we decided not to. So I think that should tell you all you need to know about what we think. Yeah,
I like the horse a lot.
Oh, yes.
I think it's a very talented horse. I think the horse is a very good sprinter. I think that's really the issue, is that it's going to be interesting to see how this horse can handle 2 turns. The fact that they haven't even tried before. That this horse has run 5 or 6 times and they have not even tried 2 turns, I think tells you a lot about what you need to know.
Prime Factor is not on the list, but we can talk about him. I'm on a hold pattern because I want to see what happens in his next race.
At the current price, I would buy. I mean, I think that's a big key here. You're going from like the consensus 3rd overall choice to now a horse that's not even the top 20 because of the first time it went 2 turns. To me, that screams buy. Now am I like really excited about Prime Factor still? No, but the horse also, and I'm not sure. I'll look at what the current odds are on Prime Factor, but I would take that horse at anything over 30 to 40 to 1, because if the horse runs well next time out, you're going to see that drop massively. So I'd be interested to see, and I'm going to check right now what it's listed at in that future market, because I do think that may be a good spot or a good time to be playing someone like Prime Factor.
Well, and if we also told you that there's he's an 800,000, he's extremely high priced, quality road with Todd Pletcher, owned by Windstar in the gang that Irad loves to ride. Those are all the signs of a horse that's got a lot of potential to be a freak. So, I mean, I'm with you. That first time routing was really not great, but we'll give him one more shot before we decide to panic. Do you have the odds?
Yeah, 33-1. So that's like the horse was sub 15-1, and now you're getting 33-1. I'm like looking for 40 to 50, and I'd definitely be interested. 33, I would, maybe a small shekel, but not a big shekel.
Like one-handed, you're not running to the window with both hands, with cash.
I'm not backing the Brinks truck up. We're not going to put a whole Bitcoin down. just a little bit of a Bitcoin.
Mike, one of the things that we try to do when we handicap races, especially when we do our Thursday preview shows, which will be back Thursday at 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern, we like to look for bad favorites and how to identify a bad favorite. And I wanted to go to San Anita real quick on Saturday, and I'm so sorry to the folks at DRF if I'm not supposed to be broadcasting your PPs, but this is a race that's in the past, so please don't hate me. The number 4 horse, Curry, 2-5 morning line favorite. I know John White well enough to know that John White doesn't do sub-even money morning lines almost ever. He did it for Justify when he debuted, and I think he was 4-5 or something like that. That's just like crazy. Curry was 2-5 on the morning line. It's race number 2 on the card. There's only 5 horses. That usually tells you, Mike, that they think this is going to be a runaway. It's probably just going to be a short price. And so that's why I put it early in the card, because everybody's going to try and single the 4. And when I looked at this race, the old Magic would have just singled the 4 very easily and moved on to the next race. So you look at this. I mean, look at how fast. A 127 time form early pace rating. That's ridiculously fast. Faster than the stablemate, who I didn't think had any shot and probably wasn't going to battle with Curry. But I didn't like the layoff since November. And here's a big key that I learned from you. All 6 furlong races for this horse. We're going 6.5, baby. That's not 6 to 7, but that's a decent enough challenge that I was like, you know what? I'm going to not even use that horse because I think that there's a lot of value here in playing the number 2. I will not. And look what happens. The Curry, boy, you hit that 6 furlong mark and Curry just dropped right out. I will not gets the job done. So I just wanted to, I don't mean to pat myself on the back here because I think we both had this horse, but I just wanted to stress the importance of looking for bad favorites. When you see 2-5 like that, my mindset, Mike, is I go, is this horse actually 2-5, or is there a way to get beaten? I looked at this and immediately went, this horse can get beat, and did well. So talk about Curry in this race and just kind of the overall thoughts on looking for a bad favorite.
Well, so I think you kind of outlined it very well there, where when you have a speed horse that quit last time or got past, didn't really quit, but got past going 6, and you're coming off a layoff going 6.5, right there is a red flag to me. The fact that you have 2 in the race from the same trainer is a problem for me. If you have the 2-5 shot, why in the world do you have a 10-1 shot in there? That should raise a red flag right away. And just to reiterate the value of beating a horse like this. So this horse paid $7.20. The winner of the first race paid $6. The daily double for those 2 horses paid $28.60. It's a monster daily double simply because you were able to beat the 4 horse here. So in these multi-leg bets, multi-race bets, beating that one favorite, even in a 5-horse field like this, everyone just blindly singled. And that horse losing creates so much value when you're playing doubles, pick 3s, pick 4s, and pick 5s, because people aren't thinking outside the box. This is a great situation where if you really do like the 2, you can go ahead and just single up this 2 horse. You just made your pick 4 or pick 5 so much more valuable because you were able to use one horse in a 5-horse field, not go too deep to get there, but have that singled up and be able to really structure around that horse and have a nice chance at a good payoff, because you don't need to hit a 20-1 shot to have good payoffs in a pick 5. You need to beat favorites, and especially beating even money or sub-even money favorites. And so this would have been a great way to kind of separate yourself from the pack.
One thing that I've learned recently, and Aaron helped me, so this is a big tip of the cap to Aaron for helping me kind of figure this out. We're all pretty good at something in horse racing for the team, right? Aaron is great at picking winners. Slim is really great with the daily doubles and like the exacta boxes. You're great with the pick 4s, the pick 5s. Jared's got a really nice beard. I figured out that sorry, Jared. Jared's a really great capper. I just like to push his buttons, but he's actually a really good handicapper. I've struggled a lot to put together 4 straight races on this show. Aaron said, why don't you just try pick 3s? So I tried pick 3s starting Saturday. Mike, I was effing rolling. I almost caught myself there. I was rolling, and this is the first one that started this. The race 3 was the end of the first pick 3 of the day. It paid $27.80, which isn't a ton, but there's a lot of infused value because I beat this 2 to 5 shot. That 2 to 5 shot wins. This pick 3 doesn't pay back $3, $4, because like you said, everybody singled it. So between that, the daily doubles, there's a lot of value in finding these horses. Even when I will not is 5 to 2. You got a lot more than actually 5-2. Hey, Feldman says pick 3 is his favorite bet. Listen, man, I'm fully on board with team pick 3s now because pick 4s, pick 5s, I just don't do very well. Pick 3s, that's my jam.
I mean, pick 3s are huge, especially if you can find low takeout pick 3s. I mean, we talk about Sam Houston, but their 12% pick 3s are massive. And the reason is the pools are smaller in pick 3s. So you have, and you don't have people hitting the all button. You don't have people spreading, going 6 deep, 7 deep in legs. You have a lot of people playing pick 3s where it's 2 by 2 by 2 or 3 by 1 by 2 or things like that. A long shot upsets a pick 3 so much more than I think people realize, because a lot of people are hammering pick 3s or singling in one of the legs. If you string together a couple beaten favorites, you can get some big numbers home pretty quickly. And especially the dollar pick 3s, I think just have massive value, because at beating a favorite, it balloons those prices because you're playing into, 40K pools versus 200K. So the number of, and you're like, oh, well, there's one less race, there's more combinations. Yeah, I get that. But if you assume that the favorites are being singled on like 25% to 30% of those tickets, and you beat the favorite in all 3 legs, you're eliminating a lot of tickets. And people just aren't going as deep to try and get big time prices in those as you see in the pick 4s and pick 5s, because those are the more, I guess, glory pools, right? Where it's like,
sexier.
Hey, yeah, it's just, they're posting those pools up. And it also allows you to really like focus on races you like. Pick 4 or pick 5, it's tough to like all 5 races. But often you will run into a sequence where you like 3 strung together, and because they're rolling now, it really just has to be any 3 at any point during that card that you can play that pick 3.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thanks so much for joining Mike and I. If you guys joined us live or on the replay, especially if you joined us live and were able to interact with us, we do this usually every Monday and Thursday at 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern. So if you're ever able to join us, we'd love to have you here. The chat's always fun. Over at racingnews.com, I brought this up earlier, but right now, Vinny Blonde's first of the 2021 season, the Kentucky Derby Contenders Pedigree Analysis, is of this boy right here, the masked hero we all need, Mandaloon. I'm just going to give you guys a preview real quick. He talks about where the horse stands in the Kentucky Derby rankings, any points he would have earned, and then the stuff that I really find, because I'm a petty geek like Vinny is, you get into the sire profile, the dam profile, you get a lot of good information there, and at the end, Vinny tells you if he thinks the horse has got a shot in hell or not of making waves in Kentucky Derby. And listen, he got it right with Authentic. A lot of us weren't on the Authentic train. Vinny, I think begrudgingly, was like, yeah, I think this horse can do it. So make sure you go check that out. Also, we did the top 20 breakdown from our buy, sell, hold mindset here, but Aaron's going to have the actual post of the rankings out, and he's doing something different this year. He lists pros for each horse, cons for each horse, and then his overall thoughts. So it's a little different than how he's done in the past. I think it's a little more streamlined. You can see Aaron's opinions a little bit more, and frankly, if you're at racingnews.com, that's probably what you want. While you're there, go check out the handicapping products page, because this man right to my got it right again. Left, Mr. Samich here with the Samo Bombs. You're probably going back to Gulfstream Park starting, what do they do, Wednesday or Thursday this week?
Starting Wednesday. I have the card printed out, so we may or may not have a grid only tomorrow, so keep an eye on the website for that. And then, yeah, for sure, this weekend we'll be back. I mean, we were rolling pretty good this weekend at Gulfstream Park. If it weren't for a horse getting taken down in a photo, we would have had the pick 5 on Sunday, too. So, we just got to keep that momentum, baby.
I love it. Also, we will be back Thursday, 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern. Do you want to do Gulfstream? I joked about this on the Rocket Hour yesterday. They asked where we were going to go, and I said, well, it's either San Diego or Gulfstream, and we're going to go to where Mike usually does best. So we're probably going to go to Gulfstream. Not that you don't do well at San Diego, but you've been killing it there. So do you want to stay on air now? Do you want to go to Gulfstream this weekend?
Let me look at the races. Let's take a peek at it, see what we have. If we got 3 turf races at Gulfstream in the last 4, I know where we're going. But let's take a peek at what the cards look at, and then we'll throw something up on Twitter tomorrow with the official announcement where we're going to play that pick 4 from.
Well, if you're watching the video, my dog, he's been sleeping on the desk the whole time, and he wakes up right about 3:30 because he knows this is when Daddy gets done talking loudly in the room behind closed doors, and they can go for a walk. So this is my signal that we need to get out of here. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We'll be back on Thursday at what time, Jack? 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific? That's correct. Perfect. I'm on Twitter at Curtis Calleroid. He is at SummerBomb 18, number 1, number 8, Corporate Overlords, at Racing_Dudes. Once again, go to racingnews.com. We got lots of fun stuff for you there. That's about all I got, Mike. My dog's distracting the hell out of me. I can't figure out how do I end this show?
I think you say your name.
I'm Mike. Nope, that's not right. What's my name? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Good luck this week.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.